Okay, welcome back. This is the last section for Chapter 9, 9.4. We're talking about forms of quadratic equations or functions. Now, if we talk about a quadratic, we know that if we have an xy coordinate plane, all quadratics look like U's. Okay, let's have a quick summary. So all of our quadratics look like U's. Okay, the x-intercepts are called the roots. Okay, also, a quadratic equation has symmetry, which means that if you were to draw a line right down the middle, it is symmetrical on both sides. So that dotted line right down the middle is called the line of symmetry. Okay, good. Now there's forms that we've talked about over the course of Chapter 9. We've talked about each form, but not specifying what form it actually is. So there's a factored form and there's a standard form, and we've seen both. Now today we're going to talk about how we get from factored form to standard form and standard form back to factored form. Okay, so we have an equation. If we're looking at factored form, let's give an example of what factored form looks like. It looks like y equals x minus root sub 1, that means the first root, x minus r sub 2, that means the second root. So you've seen an example that looks something like that. Okay, where each root is the opposite, so it's what would make that 0, so that would be x equals 2, and here x would equal -1. Okay, so the form right there is factored form. Okay, now standard form looks like y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and this is the most that you've seen it. So an example would be, let's say, y equals x squared plus 3x plus 2. Okay, so that would be an example of factored form. So now, these two forms, one has parentheses, one doesn't have parentheses. One has an x squared, one has two x's that are multiplied. So we're going to see how we get from one to another. So to do that, we are going to simply do one of two things. So if we're going to go to standard form to factored form, we are going to simply factor. Okay, so you've done this a bunch of times over the last couple of sections. So if I have y equals x squared plus 9x plus 14, if I'm factoring, look at the a value. The a value is 1. So if the a value is 1, I'm just using the x. Two numbers that multiply to the c value and add to the b value, which is positive 9. Those two numbers are 7 and 2. Both have to be positive, positive. Okay? And last thing I'm going to do is write an x there, and add my two sets of parentheses. So all I did was factor. So I went from standard form to factored form. All I have to do is rewrite it. Y equals x plus 7, x plus 2. Okay, so that was all I had to do. Now, if I asked you to go a step further, I would ask you to solve. When I ask you to solve, you're going to find the x-intercepts. So you're going to set both of the parentheses equal to 0 and solve. But for this, I just want you to change the forms. Good. I want you to pause the video and try number 2 as a money problem. Good luck. All right, so now we're going to talk about going from factored form to standard form. Okay, factor form has parentheses that are being multiplied. So all you need to do to get to standard form is to multiply. Now I'm going to use the FOIL method. I will show you the box method as well if you like that method better. So FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. So I want to multiply the first terms. X times x is x squared. Okay, outer, x times 5 is positive 5x. Inner, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Last, negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. Simplify your two middle terms. So I have x squared plus 3x minus 10. Okay, now I multiplied it out. All I would have to do is add my y equals, and that is my equation in standard form. Now if I was going to use the box method, I have x minus 2 times x plus 5. I need a 2 by 2 box. Now this second method is just if you don't like the FOIL. Okay, so I'm going to put my first set of parentheses down the side, so it's going to be x negative 2. Second set of parentheses on top, x plus 5. Now if you remember, all we're going to do is find the area of each box. X times x is x squared. X times 5 is positive 5x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. Remember, when we multiply a 2 by 2 box, almost always that upper diagonal, is going to be like terms. They're going to be like terms, so just combine them when you rewrite. So it's going to be x squared plus 3x minus 10. And you get the same answer. Add your y equals. Okay, good. So you can do it either way. All you really need to know is that you have to multiply, so either FOIL or use the box method. So that was just two simple ways to go from factored form to standard form back to factored form. So when you need to go from one to another, you need to remember which one you multiply and which one you factor. Just remember, when you're trying to go to factored form, you have to factor. Okay? Good. Number 4 is going to be a money problem. Good luck.